Hey everyone. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions, and if it applies to you, I want you to raise your hand. How many of you have been practicing in or training for a sport for, let's say, more than 2 years? How about 5 years? 8 years? Maybe even 10 years? Wow, that's some dedication right there. And from those sports, have any of you guys experienced any muscle-related injuries? Yeah, same here. Hi, I'm Jaslyn Kwan, and I've been dancing since the age of 3. So yeah, a little bit more than 10 years. Here's a video of me dancing, me performing a split jump, what I thought was beautiful, called a soda sha. And then here's me more recently performing that same split jump. A little bit better, I hope. Not just the quality of the video, but maybe the jump itself. So, what didn't look quite right with the first video? I'm gonna show you guys a slow-mo replay of both videos and see if you guys can tell. A little test for your ballet skills. There's the first video, and then the second one. Oh. Did you guys catch it? Well, to me, the biggest difference was the landing. And to absorb the hard impact of a jump, we want to use a soft landing, which would be the most ideal. So this is where we would go from the jump, then toe, ball, then heel. And if we take a look at the first video's landing, that most definitely did not happen. It went from jump to heel to both feet flat on the floor. And what made it even more impossible was that I didn't even jump with a pointed foot. And so here are just some of the spots where all the pressure would be going. And it's not just the foot that makes the soda sha better or worse, it's the entire body. The core, the back, glutes, hip flexors, you name it. And so imagine I practice on my own like this, jumping 10 times a day, probably hundreds of times throughout the months preparing for this show. And imagine the number of possible injuries from all the pressure on the legs, the muscles and tendons constantly being pulled, and overusing my body in the wrong way. That's a lot, right? And so I'm sure my coach at the time tried correcting me, but let's just be honest, I wasn't the quickest learner. But of course, the show must go on, and so I'm sure my muscles and joints were not very happy. Not yet. And so I'm actually currently dealing with an injury that was caused from a lot of misalignment and misplacement. And although I am glad that I have finally fixed the alignment, it unfortunately took quite a few physical therapy sessions and a lot of doctor's appointments to just pinpoint the location of the injury and to create a set of strengthening exercises that could help with that. And so that got me thinking, what if there was some way for something to see or sense my movement as I'm dancing? Something that could tell me, oh, where's the problem? Or maybe something that could, tell me how to strengthen the correct muscles? What do you think? Wouldn't it be nice? So the first thing that popped into my head was to use artificial intelligence, or AI, as we all know it. And AI these days is so powerful, AI these days is so powerful, so maybe something is possible, right? Or maybe something's already out there with the same goal. So what comes to your mind when you think of AI and dance? Somebody shout it out. Yeah, okay, AI and dance. So what popped into my head immediately was, was this sort of creepy video where it's an AI generated dancer with all these different sorts of limbs, right? It doesn't even look like ballet at this point. Or a more pretty video of, for example, a AI generated flower dancing. But I was hopeful that AI could do more than just this. And so as I continued to research, lo and behold, I found something. I read through different studies and articles about people using wearable motion sensors to use and analyze their data. And for dance, yes, there was some research, but I found that there was a lot more progress in basketball players. And so, for example, they were using force plates for their jump analysis, as well as some special shorts with many different sensors to collect the player's movement data. And with this data, they used it in a lot of machine learning models. For example, an artificial neural network, ANN for short. So let's take a look at what this is. Artificial neural networks are like a brain. They process and they learn data and produces what it thinks is the best outcome. So if we give it a bunch of different input data, it will process it based on what it has already learned in the past about this and attempt to make sense of them. So in this example, this data would be grouped up and sorted. Go back, please. Okay, so this data would be sorted and grouped up into some categories, such as colors, shapes, and letters. And the more complicated the data set is, the more layers of processing would be needed. And so with basketball players, there are 3 types of data that are collected to train the machine learning models. We have movements, injuries, and exercises and rehab programs that have worked for them in the past. And for those who like the more technical side or computer science side of this, here is what the data set looks like. And so we could imagine how it could apply for dance. So the machine learning model would be trained with the same 3 data types: movements, injuries, and exercises and results that have worked for dancers in the past. And what's great about this is that there's already research that has started with the same goal of the dancers who would be wearing motion sensors, and the data from the motion sensors would be collected and processed, and so the trained AI would predict the possible injuries, and from there would recommend exercises to help strengthen the muscles, prevent injuries, or even help heal injuries. And if that is possible for all those crazy movements in dance, you can imagine that these types of AI technology could be used for all kinds of sports. Whether it's analyzing movements to improve technique, flag potential injury risks, aiding recovery, AI is and will continue to be a game changer that can help dancers and athletes train safely, and improve their health and quality of life. Thank you.